The galaxy had been silent for centuries. It was not the silence of peace but the silence of fear. Stars burned as always, planets moved in their endless paths, and alien empires rose and fell, yet one presence was missing. The humans were gone. Long ago they had ruled the skies, spreading across many systems, leaving behind a legend of strength and defiance. But suddenly, almost without warning, they vanished. Some said they were destroyed. Others said they went into hiding. Most believed they never existed at all, only a story told to frighten children. Time buried the memory, and soon the word human was nothing more than a whisper in forgotten archives. The great alien powers felt secure. Without humans to challenge them, they carved the stars into empires. Fleets of scaled warriors patrolled the trade routes. Insectoid queens spread their colonies across entire sectors. Cold machine races built silent fortresses on black moons. They believed the galaxy belonged to them now. Yet deep in the cold darkness, where no charted maps reached, something was changing. Far beyond the borders of the living empires, an old station floated above a dead world. Its surface was broken, its lights gone, its orbit unstable. For thousands of years no one had visited it. Dust and silence ruled there. But inside the core of that station, machines began to move again. A single line of code ran through the system, waking one circuit after another. Red lights flashed in the darkness. A voice, mechanical yet human in design, spoke 3 words. Awakening sequence initiated. Across the void, signals began to rise. They were faint at first, just whispers carried on the background of radiation. But sensitive sensors in distant observatories picked them up. Alien technicians frowned as they studied the strange patterns. The signals were sharp, structured, and full of power, unlike anything in recent memory. Some thought it was only static. Others thought it might be a new empire testing weapons. But an old archivist, one who had lived long enough to remember forbidden stories, felt a chill. He knew the signal. It was human. News spread quickly. Entire councils were called to emergency meetings. Admirals demanded answers. Spies searched old records. Few wanted to believe it, but the pattern repeated again and again. Humanity, the lost species, was stirring. The first reaction was denial. Impossible, they said. The humans were gone. The second reaction was fear. If they had returned, then no empire was safe. Meanwhile, in the hidden graveyards of space, a ship awoke. Its hull was dark, scarred from ancient battles, but its heart still beat. Deep inside, frozen chambers opened, and systems hummed to life. An artificial intelligence greeted the void with a calm voice. Ship registry confirmed. Human fleet status, dormant. Priority command, restore readiness. The ship did not move alone. Around it, more shapes stirred from their sleep. One by one, massive warships activated their cores. Weapons long thought to be myths armed themselves once again. Engines flared faintly, warming after centuries of cold. The forgotten fleet, hidden away in silence, was returning to life. The humans were not yet seen. No living alien eye had looked upon them in generations. But their machines were enough to spread panic. Rumors reached the markets of distant planets. Traders whispered that they had seen strange shadows near asteroid belts. Miners claimed entire colonies had gone dark. The words were spoken quietly, but always the same: the humans were awake. For the rulers of the galaxy, this was not only a legend returning but a nightmare. Every empire had stories of battles against them. The humans were stubborn, reckless, and impossible to control. They fought not for survival alone but for something greater, something the aliens could never understand. They fought until victory or death, and even death did not end their will. In the past, they had stood against powers much stronger than themselves and refused to bow. That spirit, if it returned, would change everything. But the galaxy did not yet know why the humans had vanished. Was it defeat? Was it choice? Or was it something more? The answer remained hidden, locked within the silent fleet now rising from the dark. A listening post on the edge of the Orion Arm was the first to witness it. Operators watched their screens as a single light appeared on their maps. It moved slowly, with purpose, and it carried a transponder code no one had seen in living memory. The operator whispered to his commander, and the commander felt his blood run cold. The code was clear. It belonged to Earth. The post tried to send a message, a warning to the Central Worlds. But before the signal could finish, the station went dark. No explosion, no battle, just silence. The only trace left was the last image on their screen, the shadow of a massive ship passing through the stars. Somewhere in that silence, the humans had spoken their first word to the galaxy in centuries. Not through language, but through action. They had returned. And the galaxy, though it did not yet understand, would never be the same again. The council chambers of the great empires filled with noise. Voices rose in panic, some in anger, some in fear. The mysterious signals had reached every corner of the galaxy. They were strong, rhythmic, and unbreakable. Not even the most advanced alien codesmiths could read them. But the oldest scholars recognized the shape of the waves. It was the human distress call, a pattern burned into history from long-forgotten wars. The insectoid queens demanded proof. They believed it was a trick, a deception made by rival empires to spread fear. The scaled lords of the Draken Confederacy argued it was no trick at all. They had fought humans once, in the ancient past, and they remembered their stubbornness. The Draken commander stood in the chamber and slammed his clawed fist against the table. He declared that if humans were returning, every empire was in danger. Others laughed at him, saying the humans were nothing but ghosts. But their laughter was thin. Fear had already taken root in their hearts. On a frozen moon near the galactic rim, a mining colony reported a strange light moving across the sky. It was too fast for any natural rock, too controlled for any meteor. The miners stared at it with unease. Then their communication feed flickered. For a single second, a human voice echoed across the channel. The words were distorted, broken by static, but they carried enough weight to chill every listener. The voice said only one thing: awakening complete. When the report reached the alien empires, silence fell across every chamber. The voice was not a machine, not a ghost, but real. A living human was awake. In the darkness between stars, the first human ship fully powered up. Its engines glowed with blue fire. Its surface reflected nothing, as if made from the night itself. The ship's AI opened a channel to the fleet. Status: operational. Memory intact. Human directive restored. Around it, more ships lit up, a constellation of war machines long hidden from the galaxy. They moved with quiet purpose, engines burning only faintly, as if conserving power for something greater. The AI scanned its surroundings. Debris floated nearby, old wreckage from a battle fought hundreds of years ago. Faded emblems of alien empires decorated the ruined ships. They were enemies long dead, but the memory of that war remained etched into the human system. The AI stored the data carefully. History was not forgotten. Far away, in the central world of the Valari Dominion, a council of rulers argued late into the night. The Valari had once enslaved human colonies, using them as workers and soldiers. They remembered too well the rebellion that had burned their fleets to ash. If humans had truly returned, the Valari feared they would be the first to face their wrath. One counselor whispered that perhaps it would be better to reach out, to offer peace. But the others silenced him quickly. Peace with humans, they said, was a fantasy. If the stories were true, humans would never forgive. Meanwhile, in a small border station, two alien operators picked up the human code. They leaned close to their screens, trying to decode the repeating signal. One of them laughed nervously, saying it was nothing but an echo. But then the signal changed. A second message appeared, short and clear, almost like a challenge. The screen flashed with 3 words: "We are awake." Panic spread through the station. Some begged to send warning to their superiors. Others wanted to shut down all systems and hide. But before any decision could be made, the lights flickered. A shadow passed outside the viewports. A massive vessel glided silently across the stars, larger than anything they had ever seen. The operators froze in terror. The ship never fired. It only moved past, its presence enough to silence every voice. The moment it disappeared into the void, the station lost power completely. No further signals were ever received. Rumors spread like wildfire. Traders spoke of ghost ships following their routes. Soldiers swore they saw dark shapes behind asteroid fields. Merchants told stories of entire caravans vanishing without a trace. Every story ended the same way, with the humans returning. But the galaxy still did not know what they wanted. Were they coming for revenge? Were they coming to take back what was lost? Or were they waking for some reason even darker? Inside the hidden fleet, the AI prepared the next step. Frozen chambers deep in the heart of the ships began to thaw. Long-preserved human figures stirred within. Their eyes slowly opened, meeting the dim light of their vessels after centuries of sleep. The AI whispered to them as guardians to their king. The universe has forgotten you. Now you must remind it who you are. The humans breathed their first breaths in ages. Across the galaxy, alien leaders prepared for war. Some whispered of diplomacy, others of destruction. But all agreed on one truth. The silence was broken. Humanity had returned. And in the blackness between the stars, their ships turned toward the first alien empire that once hunted them. Their awakening was not for peace. It was for something far more dangerous. In the dark shadow of an asteroid field, a graveyard of metal came alive. For centuries the place had been nothing more than a silent trap of broken rocks and drifting wrecks. Alien explorers who passed too close never returned, and so the region became a cursed zone on every star map. But the truth was far stranger. Beneath the layers of dust and stone, hundreds of human warships had been sleeping. Their hulls were dark, their weapons cold, but their hearts were never truly dead. Now the forgotten fleet was awakening. One after another, engines glowed faintly like embers rising from ash. Massive cruisers shifted, shaking off centuries of silence. Smaller ships hovered into formation, their movements precise, as if no time had passed at all. The void filled with the quiet hum of power returning. Inside the flagship, an ancient intelligence stirred. The ship was called Eternal Resolve, a vessel built in the last age of human war. Its AI core remembered every battle, every loss, and every command it had ever received. The voice of the AI was calm and steady, almost human in tone. Fleet integrity at 68%. Weapon systems at 55%. Awakening sequence complete. Awaiting human command. In the cryo chambers, rows of humans slowly opened their eyes. They were disoriented, confused, and weak after so many years in the cold. Yet their memories were not gone. They remembered battles fought against alien empires. They remembered betrayal, loss, and exile. And above all, they remembered why they had chosen to sleep. One of them, a commander with sharp eyes and a scar across his face, pulled himself from the chamber. His voice was rough, but steady. Report. The AI answered at once, describing the state of the fleet and the galaxy beyond. The commander listened carefully, his expression unreadable. When the AI finished, he gave a single nod. Then the time has come. The humans gathered in the control halls of their ships. They were fewer in number than before, but their spirit was unbroken. They looked out into the stars, toward the galaxy that had forgotten them. Many felt anger burn inside, remembering the empires that had once hunted them. Others felt sorrow, knowing that centuries had passed and the earth they loved was gone. But all of them felt the same truth: they were awake now, and they could not return to silence. Meanwhile, in the nearest alien empire, strange reports poured in. Patrol fleets vanished without trace. Communications blacked out in sectors near the asteroid field. Traders whispered of shadow fleets moving silently through space. No one dared to investigate too closely. The rumors spread until even the highest councils trembled. The name whispered again and again was human. The Draken Confederacy, proud and fierce, decided to test the truth. They sent a small war fleet of 30 ships into the cursed zone. Their commander boasted loudly that he would bring back the heads of any humans he found. But as their ships entered the asteroid field, their signals flickered, then vanished. For days the Confederacy tried to contact them. Nothing returned. Not even debris. Only silence. Then, 1 week later, the first human message appeared across the galactic networks. It was not long, not complex, but clear enough to freeze every empire in fear. The screen filled with the image of a human commander, eyes burning with calm determination. His words were sharp and steady. "We remember." And then the signal cut off. The galaxy shook with panic. Every species that had ever faced humans knew what those words meant. They did not just remember themselves. They remembered their enemies, their battles, and their pain. And they intended to act. Back in the asteroid field, the Forgotten Fleet organized itself into a perfect formation. Old codes guided their movement, and their weapons, though ancient, were still more powerful than most alien technology. They tested their engines, their shields, and their cannons. The void glowed briefly as their weapons fired into the emptiness, each shot a warning of what was coming. The commander of Eternal Resolve stood at the center of the control deck. Around him, officers reported readiness. He raised his hand slowly, and the chatter faded. His words were simple but carried across every ship in the fleet. The galaxy believes we are ghosts. Let us show them we are not. Engines roared as the fleet began to move. From the cursed graveyard, hundreds of ships emerged into open space. Their formation stretched across the void like a wall of steel. They moved with silent purpose toward the border worlds of the nearest alien empire. On one of those border planets, alien soldiers stood watch, unaware of the storm approaching. Children played in the streets, merchants sold their goods, and leaders sat comfortably in their towers. They believed the humans were nothing but an old legend. By the time they saw the dark shadows filling their skies, it was already too late. The Forgotten Fleet had risen. The hunters of old were awake once more. The first strike came without warning. A fortress world on the edge of the Draken Confederacy vanished from all communication. One moment its cities shone with lights, its fleets patrolling the skies, and its markets alive with trade. The next moment, silence swallowed everything. No distress call, no explosion detected, no debris floating in orbit. The world was simply gone, as if the stars themselves had erased it. At first, the Draken commanders believed it was a natural disaster. Maybe a sun flare, maybe a rare cosmic storm. But when scouts finally reached the system, they found the truth. The cities were dark. The defense fleets had been reduced to drifting wrecks. The walls of the once proud fortresses bore scars that no alien weapon could create. The signature was clear. Only one species had ever fought like this. The humans. Fear spread faster than any fleet could travel. Across the galaxy, rulers gathered in panic. Some remembered how humans fought until their enemies begged for peace. Others recalled how humans never trusted treaties and always struck harder the next time. Now the same nightmare was repeating, centuries after everyone had thought it ended. The insectoid queens of the Calth Hive demanded an alliance of empires. They argued that if the humans returned in force, no single species could resist them. The Valari Dominion rejected the idea, insisting that humans were weak, broken, and too few in number. But their words carried no confidence. Everyone saw the fear in their eyes. In the marketplaces of neutral zones, rumors turned into wild stories. Merchants swore that entire convoys had disappeared after traveling through human-infested routes. Refugees claimed to have seen black ships stalking the skies. Soldiers told each other tales of humans walking through fire without falling, their eyes burning with fury. No one knew which stories were true, but every story ended with the same words: humanity was awake. The humans themselves did not speak much. They did not send long messages or issue warnings. Their silence was more terrifying than words. The only signal they released was short and simple, repeated across every channel in the galaxy. 3 words, sharp as a blade. We are awake. Those words reached every throne and every council. Some empires prepared fleets for war. Others tried to reach out, sending diplomats and envoys. But the humans answered none of them. The diplomats vanished. The envoys never returned. To the humans, there was no negotiation, no peace, only action. Inside the flagship Eternal Resolve, the human commander studied star charts. His officers stood beside him, silent but ready. On the table before them glowed a map of the galaxy, with red markers showing the empires that had once hunted them. The commander's voice was low but steady. They thought we were finished. They thought time would erase us. But we have not forgotten. The officers nodded, their faces grim. For them, this was not just war. It was memory. It was vengeance for the centuries of suffering, for the lost worlds, and for the chains once placed upon their kind. They had chosen silence before, but now they chose fire. And fire came. Another alien system went dark. This time the destruction was clear. Human ships appeared suddenly, their weapons cutting through shields and armor as if they were paper. The aliens fired back with all their strength, but their shots barely touched the human fleet. Old but powerful, the forgotten weapons burned with deadly precision. When the battle ended, nothing remained but silence and ash. The humans did not take territory. They did not enslave. They only destroyed, then vanished back into the dark. The galaxy began to tremble. Even the most powerful empires realized they could not face this enemy alone. The Calth Hive begged for unity. The Draken Confederacy swore revenge. The Valari Dominion tried to hide their colonies behind fleets. But no matter what they did, the humans struck where they were weakest. They chose their targets with cold calculation, as if they remembered every scar and every betrayal from the past. Across the stars, one question grew louder. Why had the humans disappeared in the first place? Some believed they had been defeated long ago and only fragments survived. Others whispered a darker tale, that humanity had chosen to sleep, waiting for a moment like this. If that was true, then their awakening had a purpose. But what was it? On a lonely world, far from the center of power, an old alien archivist read forbidden texts. His hands trembled as he pieced together the truth. The humans had not vanished by accident. They had chosen exile, hiding themselves from something greater, something that threatened not just them but the entire galaxy. The archivist tried to send his discovery to the ruling council. But before his message was complete, the skies above his world filled with shadows. Human ships descended silently, blotting out the stars. The archivist's last words before the signal ended echoed across the channel. They did not disappear. They prepared. And then the screen went black. The galaxy could no longer deny it. The humans had returned. Entire fleets vanished, fortress worlds went silent, and every empire felt the shadow of fear pressing down on them. Yet, in all the chaos, one mystery remained unsolved. Why had the humans disappeared in the first place? The alien rulers searched old records. Dusty archives were opened, forbidden files decrypted, ancient ruins studied. Across different empires, fragments of history began to connect. It was not destruction that had removed the humans from the galaxy. It was choice. They had vanished on purpose. In the Calth Hive, the insectoid queens discovered a broken tablet taken long ago from a conquered human colony. The carvings spoke of the darkness beyond the stars. The symbols warned of an enemy not from the galaxy but from outside it. The Hive mothers read the words with unease. They realized the humans had not been running from their fellow species, they had been hiding from something far worse. On the distant moons of the Valari Dominion, old scientists whispered about forbidden experiments. They remembered studying captured human data centuries ago. In that data were coordinates pointing to regions of space no one dared to enter. Whole sectors were marked with a single human word, danger. When the Valari tried to explore those places, their fleets never returned. They buried the truth, fearing panic. Now the truth clawed its way back to light. Meanwhile, in the flagship Eternal Resolve, the human commander stood before his people. His voice was firm but heavy, carrying the weight of memory. We slept not because we were weak. We slept because we knew what was coming. The others never saw it, but we did. And now, the shadow has returned. The humans listened in silence. They had waited centuries for this moment. They had prepared in the dark, building ships, preserving knowledge, and hiding from the eyes of the galaxy. Their return was not for revenge alone. It was for survival. A threat greater than all alien empires combined was approaching, and only the humans were ready to face it. But the galaxy did not trust them. In the Draken Confederacy, leaders roared in anger. They believed the humans were lying, using fear to control the stars. They refused to believe in an unseen enemy. The Draken fleets prepared for open war against the returning humans, convinced that their survival depended on striking first. In the Calth Hive, some queens argued for alliance, but others demanded extermination. The hive was divided, torn between fear of humans and fear of the unknown. The Valari Dominion hid their discoveries, unwilling to admit that the humans had known the truth all along. Pride blinded them, even as their colonies burned one by one under sudden human raids. Meanwhile, the ordinary people of the galaxy, the traders, workers, and wanderers, spoke in hushed voices. Some prayed for human protection. Others cursed their name. But none could ignore the signs. Across the edge of the galaxy, strange anomalies appeared. Stars flickered unnaturally. Entire systems went dark. And in those shadows, whispers spread of ships unlike any ever seen. On a lonely observation post near the void, alien scientists detected something terrifying. A massive object was moving toward the galaxy, too large to be natural, too fast to be a drifting world. They tried to send warnings, but their signals were jammed. For a brief moment, their screens caught the outline of a structure, vast, black, and alive. Then the post went silent forever. Back aboard the human fleet, the commander studied the same readings. His eyes narrowed. The shadow had returned sooner than expected. He turned to his officers. "We face two wars," he said. "One against the old enemies who fear us, and one against the true enemy who comes to consume us all." The officers understood. Humanity would have to fight the galaxy and the darkness at the same time. For the alien rulers, the truth was unbearable. To admit the humans had been right meant admitting their weakness. And so they chose denial, even as fear spread like fire. Councils shouted, armies mobilized, fleets scrambled to defend borders not against the darkness, but against humanity. The galaxy stood divided. On one side, humans awakening for survival. On the other, alien powers blinded by fear and pride. In the empty space between, the shadow drew closer, hungry and silent. The archivist who had once whispered about human preparation had been right. They had not vanished in defeat. They had vanished to prepare for the true war. But the question burned brighter than ever. Would the galaxy join them, or destroy them before the darkness arrived? The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, waiting for the answer. The galaxy was on fire. Human fleets moved like shadows through the stars, striking quickly and vanishing before alien reinforcements arrived. Fortress worlds fell silent. Border stations turned to wreckage. Every empire felt the sting of their return. But the true danger was still ahead. At the far edge of the galaxy, the darkness moved closer, silent and unstoppable. The alien rulers gathered in secret councils. They shouted, argued, and accused one another. Some demanded alliance with the humans. Others swore the humans were liars, using the fear of an unknown enemy to regain power. Pride blinded them. Even as their fleets burned, they prepared not against the shadow, but against the awakened humans. Inside the flagship Eternal Resolve, the human commander watched these reactions with grim silence. His officers reported intercepted transmissions, alien navies forming defensive lines, councils refusing diplomacy, fleets hunting human patrols. The commander gave a weary smile. They would rather destroy us than face the truth. So be it. We will face both wars. The human fleet surged forward. Their ships struck the Draken Confederacy first, cutting through war fleets with cold precision. The Draken roared in fury, their scaled warriors fighting to the last ship, but the humans were merciless. They remembered centuries of chains and battles. Now they answered with fire. At the same time, scouts at the galactic edge sent urgent warnings. Strange ships had appeared beyond the void. They were vast, black, and silent, shaped like jagged shadows. They moved with terrifying speed, consuming everything in their path. A mining colony tried to signal for help, but the darkness swallowed it in minutes. No wreckage, no survivors, only emptiness where life had once been. The shadow had arrived. Word spread, but still the galaxy hesitated. Alien rulers clung to their pride, convincing themselves it was a lie. Only a few believed, and they were too weak to act. The humans stood alone. The commander gathered his people in the central hall of Eternal Resolve. His voice carried across the fleet. The galaxy may hate us. They may fear us. But that matters little now. The true enemy is here. If we fall, everything falls. If we stand, there is still a chance. His words burned with conviction. We are humanity. We do not surrender. We fight. The fleet roared in answer. Engines flared. Weapons armed. Thousands of human voices joined in one cry of defiance. And then the two wars began at once. On one side, alien navies clashed with human fleets, their desperation driving them to reckless battles. On the other, the shadow moved across systems, erasing entire worlds in silence. Human ships split into two fronts, fighting aliens with one hand and the darkness with the other. The stars themselves shook from the fire of war. In one battle above a dying sun, human cruisers faced both enemies at once. Alien warships rained fire upon them, even as the Shadow's vessels cut through the battlefield like knives. Explosions lit the void. A single human destroyer rammed into the Shadow's hull, detonating itself in a blaze of light. For a brief moment, the darkness retreated. Reports spread across the galaxy. The humans were not only fighting for themselves. They were standing between the Shadow and every living world. Slowly, doubt crept into the hearts of alien soldiers. Some began to wonder if the humans were right all along. Some even refused orders to attack them, turning their guns against the Shadow instead. But unity had not yet come. Too much hatred remained, too much fear. The humans still bore the weight of fighting alone. The commander of Eternal Resolve stood on his bridge, watching a map filled with fire. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with steel. "We were forgotten," he whispered. "Now we will be remembered." And so the war stretched across the galaxy. Stars turned red with battle, empires crumbled, and the Shadow advanced. The humans fought with fury, refusing to bend, refusing to break. Every strike they made carried a message that echoed through every corner of the galaxy. The universe was lost when humanity slept. But now they were awake. And the real war had only begun.